Two bitter rivals racing to the top of the SEC East meet at a neutral site in Jacksonville, Florida. And for the first time since 2008, it will be a top 10 matchup between the Dogs and the Gators. You can call it Georgia, Florida. You can call it Florida, Georgia. But what you won't do is call it the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
You just did.
But I did it anyway.
That's what I like.
And it's actually, it's a party already here for College Football Live. We've got Marcus Spears, we've got Laura Rutledge, we've got Desmond Howard and David Pollock. I'm Maria Taylor. SEC Nation is here. Woo!
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yeah. I mean,
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
First of all, let's
Thanks
just
for
talk
coming.
about how this scene is so much different from anywhere else we get to journey because of the neutral site where you have both teams constantly out tailgating, getting ready since like Thursday.
We're already seeing a ton of Florida and a ton of Georgia people. It's incredible. I think it's about evenly split so far. What do you think?
Yeah, it's about even. I mean, I don't really have anything to do with this. This is y'all.
There's no that's you. So he's not
So
feeling
the
it.
guys on the end
Yeah,
don't
the guys
matter.
on the end, we kind of just, we
bookends.
visitors.
Right,
We visitors, man.
Have we ever seen a site with golf carts behind us? Never. I mean, first of all, hey, we got Kirk. I didn't know Kirk took his yacht this week, by the way. I thought it was usually wheels up, but Kirk's yacht strolled in, and then we got all these people with golf carts. That's pretty amazing.
The golf cart brigade is here. We've got boats pulling in the St. Johns River.
Nice, very nice setting.
I guess we can talk about the game, too, although most of these people are here to tailgate. What do you see being the deciding factor maybe in this matchup, David?
I think the X factor for, obviously there's ones for both sides. I think Justin Fields for Georgia. And I know people hate hearing that. They've been tired of hearing it. But
They don't hate hearing it.
You better get used to it because I think that with a bye week, a little extra week to self-scout, a little extra week to see what this kid can do, I think you're going to see the big fella because he's pretty sensational. I think we'll start to see that era kick
I
in.
agree with David because we saw what happened in the LSU game. I mean, Marcus Spears' boys just took it to him for 4 quarters, and Jake Fromm was like a statue back there. He wasn't athletic enough to get away from the pressure. So you got Justin Fields, who's a dual-threat quarterback. They have to put him in there to play football, though, not just to be a
wildcat,
runner.
yeah.
He has to be able to allow him to be a quarterback.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring that up because in Kentucky's win over Florida, we saw Terry Wilson go off for 105 yards, and that was a big factor in that game.
It's very important how you use him, though.
Yeah.
Because you still don't want to take Jake Fromm away from this offense. Like, I know it's like when you buy a Cadillac in 2017 and then they flip the model on you in 18.
Put some
comes
AC
out.
in the back.
Right.
Sounds like.
So your 17 becomes old and not useful anymore, even though it still only has 3,000 miles on the odometer. So here's the thing for me. Jake Fromm ran into a buzzsaw in Death Valley. But we've also seen him perform well against really good teams. And I don't think you can get rid of that thought when you're Georgia, especially offensive. Look, this is going to be a hostile environment. This is a defense for Justin Fields that can be overwhelming just because of youth, right? So you keep Jake Fromm definitely at the head.
He's going to
of this thing.
start, and he needs to be the guy.
And
He'll
you
get the
have
majority of the
and
snaps.
have your packages for Justin Fields,
Correct.
but just make sure you don't play with Jake Fromm's rhythm if he's going.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you don't want to replace Jake Fromm with Justin.
Right.
Fields. But we're saying if you're going to play Justin, then play Justin.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't play him just as a wildcat quarterback. Play him and let him, run the ball, let him throw the ball, let him play quarterback when he's in there.
And
don't limit his role.
And one thing that's really important, what you said,
They like that back there.
they did like that. One thing that's very, very important is if Justin Fields was ready to play and start, he would.
be playing.
He's not ready, okay? That's the facts. If you want to boil down to the facts, he's not as good as Jake Fromm yet. Going up to the line of scrimmage and reading defenses and having 2 or 3 plays called in the huddle and making that's a tough thing to do coming off the bus as a freshman. So I think you had a bye week to go, what do you like? Justin, what's your favorite play in the playbook? This is what they're going to do to that this week. Rep it ad nauseum. You get, 30% of the snaps, something like that, and you see more of him, but don't get it twisted. Fromm will be starting, and Fromm will be the guy getting the majority of the reps.
But we'll have to see more from Jake Fromm. He had his lowest completion percentage coming
his
out of
worst
that
game of his
LSU
career.
game. Yeah, it's
Laura, you have something to say, Laura?
Well, I was just going to, I do feel like, obviously, we're talking about quarterbacks right now, but to me, for Georgia, this is more about their other playmakers and Elijah Holyfield stepping up. They have so many weapons. DeAndre Swift, I feel like we still haven't seen the DeAndre Swift that we thought he would be last year. Maybe this is a breakout game for him. put some pressure on Florida's defense. We know they're going to want to bring pressure on the other side. So to me, it's even more about them taking a little bit off the shoulders of whoever's at the quarterback position.
They've been falling in love with them toys out wide. They've been throwing the football too much.
So do you think this is a game where Georgia needs to focus more on getting the run game going first before looking to the outside?
What was successful last year? Last year, literally, Georgia bludgeoned people and made it where they wore them down in the third and fourth quarter, and the game was over because of that. It wasn't because they threw the ball over the yard, but when you got Ridley and Godwin and Mecole Hardman, you look at all these toys, and they're like, wait, the more experience at quarterback, like, you know who else doesn't like dealing with freshman quarterbacks and new guys? Coaches. Coaches like to put in more stuff. They got to show you how smart they are. We can do X, we can do Y. You know what you can do? Watch Holyfield run downhill last week and ask that LSU safety how he liked it.
We've been doing this long enough to know that eventually your run game going to have to step to the forefront.
No doubt about it.
Eventually it's going to have to happen. What did Bama do in the second half against Georgia in the national championship? They started handing the ball off to Najee Harris. What did Georgia do against Oklahoma? They handed it off to Sony Michel. Like at some point, your line of scrimmage is either going to take advantage of who you're playing against or it's going to expose you with who you're playing against. And that was what was so mind-blowing in the Georgia LSU game. The fact that they had to, Mel Tucker and Kirby Smart had to blitz to try to stop LSU's run game was something that I thought I wouldn't see after this crew took over at Georgia. But with that being said, you get a bye week and you got the taste of getting it slapped out of your mouth. So it should change your mentality. There's a lot of things that you can gain from a loss. And if I know anything about Kirby Smart being around him for so long, that this bye week of practice went back to fun. It was inside 907. It was physical.
Okay, let me take us big picture now because we have SEC Nation here. We know that Georgia and Florida right now, they both sit at 6-1. Alabama undefeated. Everyone's eyes are on them. Boom, they're in the college football playoff. But you guys have been on campuses. You're talking to all the players. Who is that other team? Who would be the next team you believe has the capability of making it into the playoff? Or is it Bama or bust?
I think it's Bama or bust. I mean, let's be honest. But if you're asking for another team, I think it's LSU. And I think LSU is the only other team that's really going to challenge Bama. I mean, look, when you see what will challenge Alabama, it's going to be a physical team. It's going to be a fast defense that can keep up with what they're trying to do offensively. They have great receivers, so you need a really good secondary. That's LSU. But what we've talked about is, does LSU have enough offensively to actually factor into that game? And I know we're projecting a week ahead, but I think that's where we really see it. Does Alabama get challenged by somebody? And if they will, I think it's the Tigers.
You're playing a two-headed monster with Alabama because, first of all, you got 13 other coaches in this conference that has never had to deal with Alabama offensively like this. So that's a part of it. And because your biggest worry was this defense creating turnovers and getting the game out of hand. They're still creating turnovers, though. The only hope that people are holding on to is that they gave up a total of 54 points in 2 weeks when they played A&M and gave up 21 A&M. But when you look at this football team with Alabama, you ask yourself, where are the holes? There are none. And that's the problem. Like Jalen Hurts was a hole last year. We knew at some point during the season when they had to push the ball down the field, that's something you may be able to expose with Alabama. But ever since Tua, the champion, started taking over.
Because we've never had a conversation. You're going to have to score with Alabama.
Never
That's
had
never a situation that we've ever dealt with.
You're going to be in the shootout.
You're going to be in the shootout.
That's like,
We have not said that before.
And what does that do, too? To me, the biggest point about that in their defense, they can be more aggressive.
No question.
Alabama can take chances. That's not normal. The Alabama's usually make you earn it, don't give up big plays. They know now, like, it's cool if we give up 21.
We're going to score 50.
We're going to get ours. And so it's such a different animal. This LSU team is the Alabama's teams from the years past. The
Great
Jacob
defense,
Coker ones. Great defense. They can run the football, and when they get good quarterback play, they're impossible to beat. But this isn't yesteryear's college football now, and Alabama is.
They have yet to been challenged. I think
That's true.
A&M game was a challenge for Alabama for a while, but I think that Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator for LSU, is going to just let the dogs out. I think he's going to play man-to-man, bump and run to disrupt those receivers. I can't believe guys let those receivers get free releases off the line of scrimmage.
It's because they can run by them.
Are you crazy? You got to put a hand on them. Try to reroute them and break up their timing, and then you got to send pressure at Tua. I mean, you have to. There's no quarterback in any level you give that type of respect for. You got Tom Brady. You know what you got to do? Send them dogs to Brady.
Yep.
You got Aaron Rodgers. Send them dogs to Aaron Rodgers. You got Tua. Send them dogs to Tua. See how he responds.
You got Christian Fulton at one side of the corner. You got Greedy Williams at the other side. Grant
Exactly. Dale Pitt is leading
well as
the
anybody in the country right now. Here's the deal. You can't beat Bama if you can't play man-to-man.
You got to take risks.
You cannot do it.
To.
And to Dez's point, you're going to have to sacrifice
That's right.
2 or 3 guys
scared,
on the second level in order to try to get them to make a mistake.
Scared money don't make
exactly,
money.
Exactly. The scary, eerie part is, like, as great as Tua has been for this Alabama offense, his pinpoint accuracy to me has been, like, under pressure, the fact that this kid is putting the ball on a dime, only where his guys can catch it, like that stuff after you get to the league, they trying to teach you how to do, right? And he has a natural knack for it. But if LSU is going to stay in the game against Alabama, it's going to be Greedy Williams, Grant Dale Pitt, and Christian Fulton being able to man up on the back end and let the front eat. And then get Devin White back after halftime, which I don't want to talk about right now.
Don't do it. We're not doing that right now because we don't have enough time.
The one other thing is the quarterback health in this game. Is Tua Tagovailoa truly healthy with the knee? And Jalen Hurts, we already saw he even had a procedure on his ankle. So crazy things have happened when people aren't healthy. But still.
I love that game's coming off a bye week, too. So it'll be interesting to see how healthy everyone is.
Right.
All right, Laura and Marcus, you can watch them on SEC Nation tomorrow.
They can hang if they want. Just
I would love for you guys to hang. Seriously. Let's just make it an hour show. College football live all day. You good, Marcus? You're not hot.
No.
As long as the bosses say we can stay. I'm a company guy.
All right, when we come back on College Football Live, we know that the first college football playoff rankings are right around the corner. We will see who is in the first ranking, and we'll have Gino come to the set, we think, if we lose Laura and Marcus, and we'll discuss who he thinks should be in. And coming up, our night game on ABC, we'll have a Big 12 battle between number 6 Texas.
Starting. What a night in West Lafayette.
Notre Dame's got the next best resume. Michigan and LSU are legit. The first rankings reveal Tuesday, 7 p.m. on ESPN.
I know it. I'll be watching Tuesday at 7. It will be the college football playoff rankings reveal. Look at our golf cart brigade still here.
Because we like a bunch of golfers out here, that's for sure.
We do. A lot of golfers that don't drink anything. Georgia, Florida is about 24 hours away. We're here for College Football Live. Gene Wojciechowski joining us now, which means his segment is coming. But first, we always like to check in with you and what you've been up to during the week. What's going on?
I was actually at the University of Georgia. I'm doing something on Rodrigo Blankenship. And, while I was there, you guys are featured prominently in that building. There's a picture of Maria. There's David Pollock. And one of the things I respect so much about you, Maria, in particular is, you're professional, but you don't let, you don't compromise your allegiance to your alma mater. It's
you don't want to
important
get kicked
to you,
off
right?
the set today.
And, I think maybe we have a little something here just to show Maria proving that. Yes, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this was yesterday.
So I did not want to touch the gator.
She's touching
No.
Did y'all see
the
that?
gator.
I didn't want
Maria was rubbing the gator.
Jefferson is much bigger than me, and I didn't have a choice.
Wow.
So you said he bullied you.
He didn't have a
bullied
choice.
you. Cece, that's some bull.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's not relive the past because that was scarring for me, Gino. What do you want to talk about today?
I can't believe that.
Well, we have the playoff rankings coming out on Tuesday, and my question to everybody is, what are you really interested in seeing on Tuesday night in those initial playoff rankings?
Wow. You've done the show 3 weeks in a row, so let's start off with you.
Without rankings.
Yeah, without rankings. So
it's been beautiful.
Now, finally, the rankings are coming out. What would you want to see?
I have a couple things, but I'll start with one. I want to know now if a loss matters. Because last year you saw that they were willing to forgive, not winning a championship and maybe somebody with a worse record possibly. Just do it now. I want to see if you think somebody's better than if you think LSU's better than Notre Dame and Notre Dame doesn't have any losses, go ahead and put LSU above them right now. I want to see if they do that early in the season as of the first release of the rankings.
I want to see, since you mentioned that, how about like Notre Dame and Clemson?
Yeah.
Because Notre Dame, I think, have had more quality wins. Obviously, they beat a Michigan team that's really hot right now. And but Clemson, like, you know, who have they beat that you're like, oh, that's a great win? I mean, North Carolina State, Wake Forest, all these games we thought would be competitive.
Yeah.
You know, they were. So, you know, A&M was a really good win on the road early in the season. But outside of that, so I want to see, like, Notre Dame and Clemson. Where do they put those two teams?
I'm interested in seeing LSU and Michigan and where they rank against each other as two one-loss teams, but still both have some top 25 wins, and just kind of the comparison that we see there. And I do wonder how much strength of schedule really matters, and we start to see it during the first rankings, what it's going to mean at the end of the season, I hope, like you said.
Yeah,
I want to see who's ranked number 3 in the initial rankings, and here's why. Because our colleague Chris Felica dug up this great little nugget. The team that is ranked number 3 in the initial rankings has never made the CFP.
Wow.
Never.
Really?
And
Oh, God, if you're third, you're done.
You're done. Gino
three
called
out of
it.
4 times, they have either lost their next game or the game after that, after the initial rankings. So
I'll be tuned
there's
in.
a chance, if you're LSU, you're feeling a little nervous right now because I think they have a really good chance of being ranked number 3 to answer your question about being ahead of Notre Dame.
You think they'll be ahead of Notre Dame?
I think given their schedule, given their resume, it would not surprise me.
If they did that, that would be awesome. To show right now, like, listen, we don't care if there's a loss more in one column. We think they're better. Amen. I have no problem with that.
LSU has 3 top 10 wins, and you can't argue with that.
Tell me this. Who do you think's better right now, LSU or Notre Dame?
LSU.
So I like Notre Dame. Because I like their quarterback. I think they have more offense than LSU, and they have a fantastic defense. So right now on the field, I kind of like Notre Dame better than I like LSU.
I think LSU's defense is special.
They are.
I think it's really special. And I think if they played.
But they haven't faced the offense. To me, like Ian Book and that group right now, because they're playing really, really good. If they played today, that would be a tough one to call. Notre Dame versus LSU in a neutral site game.
All right, well, we'll see when the rankings are revealed, and that happens on Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN for the very first time. We'll see what's going on in the committee's head as we enter into Week 10.
You didn't even make mention of Gino's shoes, by the way.
This is the fist bump.
Hey, no dress shoes, by the way. Looking good.
Look at you stepping outside of your comfort
Marcus and those guys, they're out here for like 40 minutes.
Gino's getting comfortable. We try to keep our celebrity guest pickers comfortable. A special thanks to Wheels Up for delivering our guest pickers each week on College Game Day. Hey, guys, take a look. Drew Bledsoe. He jumped Luke Bryan this week, finally.
He called Purdue.
He called Purdue, and that was the one that got him over.
There you go. Congratulations, Drew. We'll see where you stand a week from now.
Yeah.
All right, we're still here live in Jacksonville. Percy Harvin is in the building. He's going to stop by the set. He has a pretty good record against Georgia in this matchup, 2-1. Percy, get over to the set. We want to talk to you about it.
Hey, man, we chilling here live from the swamp. I got them boys with me!
Rodrigo Blankenship, while I was in Gainesville spending time with CeCe Jefferson. Maria Taylor here with CeCe Jefferson. I was born in Atlanta, went to Georgia. You grew up in where?
Baker County, Florida.
And went to Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk about the tradition that is Georgia, Florida.
You mean Florida, Georgia, but it's a huge tradition, you know, like you said, growing up like a couple miles outside of Jacksonville, growing up like an hour away from here, so. And the funny thing about that is I actually never went to a Florida-Georgia game until I got to college.
Stop.
I always used to watch it on TV, and it always gave me chills, you know, and for me to finally be playing in this game and representing this school and my family, it means the world to me, and it's such a surreal feeling, and I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life.
You know what's funny? I've never been to the game either. We were always in season, so I could never go and travel down to Jacksonville. We did SEC Nation outside of Georgia, Florida.
Florida, Georgia, you mean?
We never. I still haven't been inside to see the stadium. So what's it like? You see completely split. Over here is red and black. Over here, you see orange and blue.
Oh yeah, but you know, usually by halftime, it's usually just orange and blue and no red and black. So.
What's your record again?
2-1.
Okay, so you ready to be 2-2?
No, I'm ready to be 3-1.
Appreciate your time, CeCe. Let's take a look at our blimp-worthy player brought to you by Goodyear. It's former Florida star Percy Harvin. He had 32 total touchdowns in 3 seasons at Florida. He went 2-1 against Georgia, and Percy will be inducted into the Florida-Georgia Hall of Fame this week. Speaking of the Gator great, Percy Harvin joins us now on set, and he's a Super Bowl champion, a BCS national champion, an SEC champion. You played in this game 3 times. How does it compare to what you've experienced over the course of your football career?
It's right up there with one of my, top 5 moments. Along with the Super Bowl, along with the national championships game. This is just one of those games you mark on your calendar. You look forward to it. It's well anticipated. It's a national rivalry game. This is definitely one that I always look forward to. No disrespect to the LSUs and Florida States, but this one is on definitely that the Gator Nation marks on our calendar.
Listen, it's an honor to have you up here. You were my favorite player. When you guys were on that run with Tim Tebow and those guys, to me, you were the straw that stirred the Gatorade. And that championship game against Oklahoma, classic performance. But tell me this, when you guys are preparing for this game, this week of practice, is it a different week when you're preparing for the Georgia Bulldogs?
It is, and they kind of made it special the year we played them. If you guys remember, in 2007, we had just won the national championship. The guys started the game. They celebrated and did the whole, we had to pause the game for 10, 15 minutes, and they rubbed it in. And
that was when they whipped y'all.
Hands off to them. They did beat us up and down the game.
Yes, they whipped y'all that day.
They made it quite easy to train that offseason. And I kind of think that year is what kind of made our foundation for Urban.
Yeah, because then they went on to win a national champion. No big deal. Percy Harvin, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to take that watch from you when we get off the camera because I need it in my life.
I'll get the chain.
It's coming to you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us, Georgia, Florida.